It has been 2 years since the Duke and Duchess of Sussex stepped back from royal duty. I am so glad that they decided the half in, half out was not going to be a possibility for the Sussexes. At the time, I was incredibly frustrated by that because I wanted the Sussexes to have all of the protection of the institution, only to find out from the Oprah Winfrey interview there was no protection from the institution. So, given that revelation, I'm glad the Sussexes have removed themselves from that family, from the institution, and that they are able to make a path for themselves today that would have never been possible had they stayed with the royal family and, of course, in the official capacity as the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. So I have to say that I was a bit short-sighted by this. I was hoping to have an endless stream of photo ops and walkabouts, not to be selfish, but just to see that representation of an African American within the royal family. But it wasn't meant to be. Things were not as they appeared. And of course, knowing everything that we know at this point, it was the right decision to leave. It was the best decision for the Duke and Duchess of Sussex to step away from the royal duty, to remove themselves from the influence and, of course, the authority of the royal family, of Kensington Palace, of Clarence House, Buckingham Palace, the complete trifecta of oppression that they suffered because of the fact they were incredibly popular, let's face it, good looking. They were warm, friendly, approachable with the people that they encountered while they were working within the institution. So outside of it, they're all of those things, but now at least they can have their own voice. That's the most important thing, is that today that they can speak in their own voice. And just the other day, they let it be known again, do nothing till you hear from me. One of my favorite jazz songs, by the way. Not exactly what they said, but of course, the whole point was, if you don't hear from us, then it's not true. We will not have any... The bottom line is that the Duke and Duchess of Sussex have made it very clear that if you are to believe anything, you should hear it directly from the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, and I would imagine that's via an official press release or the Archwell Foundation, and even possibly on the Archwell website. I went back through my photos to see exactly what photo I saved from the Duke and Duchess of Sussex on January the 8th, 2020. There were no photos. Then I looked at the next day. Still no photos. But by January 10th, there it was. At the time I saved the photo, I had no idea that I would ever have a YouTube channel. Well, at least not for the Sussexes, that is. And also at that time, I was just like everybody else, living my life. And, occasionally I would corner somebody and try to explain to them how unfair it is what's happening with Harry and Meghan. And of course, people outside of the squad would say, "Who? What?" Or sometimes they would say, "Why do you even care? They're rich." As this entire ordeal played out with the press, and of course the Sussexes, and then of course there were all the unseen hands that were working against them, it was incredibly frightening and frustrating because you just couldn't figure out what was going to happen next. And everybody, I'm sure, in the squad was trying to figure out what's going on. But the headlines were absolutely awful. I mean, how in 2 years, on January 10th, the headlines of the Sussexes, the crowds of people cheering the Sussexes, and then suddenly, within a matter of just 2 years, everything became so different. I remember the first time that they went out and about, It was like incredible. People who otherwise would, know that the royal family, someone in the family is here or there, and there was no way, especially people of color, they would just go about their business. But because they heard Meghan Markle was going to be there were a lot of people that they interviewed that said, I was on my way home and I saw all of this activity and I decided I would stop, because they knew Meghan Markle was there. If it was any other member of the royal family, it would have been like, eh. But no, this was something big, and so they made the effort to be there. That was January 2018. By January 2020, everything had changed, and suddenly you find out that the Sussexes are literally running for their lives. Literally. Because of the hostility and the animosity that was created on the social media and in the tabloid press, they simply were not safe. They were not safe living in the Frogmore Cottage. They were not safe to be out and about. They had to keep the birth of the child very secret because it just simply was not safe for them. I can only imagine that some of the threats that were made against the Sussexes privately, threats that were actually brought to their attention, hopefully brought to their attention, by some people who just felt as though there was something corruptive about the Duchess of Sussex being a part of that family. And so for that, I was very worried about their safety, but I feel safer with them in the United States, away from all of that, in a very exclusive community. It's Santa Barbara, it's Montecito. It's much different from the type of exposure that they would have had in the United Kingdom. One of the biggest cash cows in publishing is the coverage of the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. It doesn't have to be accurate, it doesn't have to be fair, it doesn't have to be just in any way whatsoever, so long as they are available for the story. And as we have noticed with the past few years, anything that you could attach their names to suddenly becomes a very bankable story. One of the unintended consequences of stepping back is that for a few days, Meghan gave us the best possible example of what a modern princess could be in the United Kingdom. The very superficial part of me says that was like the best fashion moment in the history of the royal family since we lost Princess Diana. But more important than the fashions, which gave me my life, believe me, it gave me my life. But more important than that is the fact that the Duchess of Sussex demonstrated what a modern princess of the realm could be, especially when you consider how much she was able to achieve in just 2 short years of being with that family. She demonstrated that within 2 years, she was able to accomplish more than the standard bearer that they're trying to uphold as being a modern royal woman. There's no other modern royal woman in that family. There's only the Duchess of Sussex. I am absolutely proud of what she achieved, but it makes me very sad that she had to go through all of the things that she experienced as the Duchess of Sussex, as a woman of color in an institution that doesn't really open up doors to people of color unless it helps them to look good. If it wasn't for them stepping back away from royal duty, I am convinced that there would have been a great deal of exploitation and mistreatment all at the same time of not only the Duchess of Sussex, but any children, and of course Prince Harry, by default, was mistreated by his own family as far as I'm concerned. I cannot help but believe deep inside that there was some type of divine intervention that removed the Sussexes from that very painful situation and brought them first to Canada and then eventually to the United States. But let us remember that in March of 2020, the Duchess of Sussex showed up and showed out, and she definitely demonstrated the modern royal princess. And that, of course, is Meghan Markle style. The early days of the pandemic, I was very frightened for the Sussexes, just as I was frightened for my own family. As much as I was concerned about myself and everybody in my family, my friends, I was also worried about the Sussexes because I was very nervous for the Sussexes because with the pandemic and everything, I just thought it would be almost impossible for them to actually earn money and find work. But I never forgot what someone said at the time. They said that the Sussexes as a brand would possibly earn $1 billion in their lifetime, that they were a very bankable commodity. And that's not vulgar to say in any way whatsoever. They paid their dues and they were free of the institution. And of course, now it's time to go to work. So they went to work, and behind the scenes and very discreetly, they managed to build a new reality for themselves. And they got by with the help of some friends, like, of course, Tyler Perry, Oprah Winfrey, and, of course, the president of Netflix. They had the Spotify deal, and, of course, many other things that we probably won't hear about for a long time, or we may not ever hear about. But there were people who embraced them, who wanted to help them succeed. And people don't do that for terrible people. They don't do that for someone who's a bully or mean-spirited or what could I say? Harry built a lot of great bridges, made great connections with people for years. The Duchess of Sussex, if there's one thing that has been demonstrated throughout this stepping back of royal duty, people couldn't possibly conceive of the high-ranking, notable people within her Rolodex. And also a lot of very common people that you have known over the years as you climbed your way up that she never forgot about. And the way that you know that she's still maintaining good relations with those people, none of them speak out against her. No matter how much the tabloid press has tried to force these attacks against her from people in her past, it just hasn't happened. The African American side of her family, nothing, absolutely nothing. That is the best demonstration of character that you could possibly have, is the fact that everyone that you've worked with before you've gone to that institution, and of course, exactly the classier half of your family, there is absolutely no controversy whatsoever. So I'm glad they're out of that institution. I'm glad they are not just surviving, but they're thriving. And of course, ingrained in my memory is the price of their home and how many bathrooms they have, thanks to the tabloid press. But none of that matters. None of that matters. Whether they are trying to snap paparazzi photos or trying to talk to the daycare or nursery school teachers or parents, none of that matters. And of course, the intrusion into the American media markets from the tabloids and of course from the other royal households, none of that stuff matters. Harry and Meghan are winning. They are still winning. They are consistently onward and upwardly winning. So don't despair about all of the negative press. Do not be distracted by all of the cruel and very nasty attacks from the tabloids. None of that stuff matters in Montecito. Everything has been quiet in Montecito for a few weeks, I would say. Aside from the Christmas card, everything's been pretty quiet. And when the Sussexes go silent, then you know some pretty big things are going to happen. We are still definitely inside of the pandemic. We haven't made our way out of it. But in spite of that, if they have been able to build the lives that they have today, in spite of everything that has worked against them in the past, just imagine what 2022 is going to look like. And I'm here for it. I'm here for it, and I'm here for you. And as we go forward, I intend to keep expressing my feelings about things. And sometimes, I people say in the comments, thank you for what you're doing for the Sussexes or our faves or whatever. But I'm not just doing it for them. I'm doing it for myself, because for whatever reason, whether it's because Harry and Meghan have become so familiar to me and they have been a safe space for me for the past few years, or is it the fact that I hate a bully? And I really do hate a bully. So to see them mistreated by the institution, or even just by Kensington Palace or the tabloids, all of it is more than I can bear. So whenever I can say something about it or do something about it, I intend to stand up for them, stand up for anybody, because it's not just about the Sussexes. It's about the principle of it. I speak for the Bidens. I speak for the Obamas. I speak about the people whose values are in alignment with mine. So thank you for supporting this channel again and again. Thank you for your likes, your shares, or even just watching the channel. Thank you for watching. Thank you for making this channel incredibly successful. Everything about Royal Sussex has more than exceeded any expectations I could have possibly have had. And I haven't been able to do that by myself. I've done that with your input, your advice, your suggestions, your comments. All of that is what's made Royal Sussex what it is today. And I thank you for that. That's it for now. Please like, subscribe, share, donate, etc. If you would like to make a donation and you don't know how, to help support this channel, you can go to the comments section where you can find links to the Patreon, the PayPal, and the Cash App. Thanks for watching Royal Sussex.